Hi, I want to tell you about a book that's very near and dear to my heart, Rudolph the Penguin. When my daughter was very little, I started telling her bedtime stories, and I created an imaginary character, Rudolph, with the idea, since I was going to Russia a lot, that it would be also a way to help teach her a bit about Russia. So the story I made up was that Tsar Peter the Great, circa 1600, went on a sailing expedition to Antarctica, where a little penguin went stowaway on his vessel and ended up back in St. Petersburg, where they became best friends. So Rudolph the Penguin lives in the Tsar's palace, what's now the Hermitage Museum, but was actually the Tsar's winter palace at the time. Dare I say, fish out of water or penguin out of water tales, I enjoyed making up on the spot. They always put my daughter to sleep and just sleep happy, but I never wrote any of them down. Years later, she suggested I actually go back and try to recreate the essence of Rudolph the Penguin. So I have a compilation of Rudolph the Penguin bedtime stories that hopefully can put somebody to sleep if they need to go to sleep. With that background, I want to read, and these are short, I want to read my absolute favorite Rudolph the Penguin story. It's entitled Rudolph and the Painted Sky. Once upon a time, Rudolph the Penguin couldn't sleep. He thought it would help settle himself down if he could eat a fish as a bedtime snack. So he went down to the kitchen of the Tsar's palace to see if the night duty cook had any fish. Ivan, a very old man with a long white beard, was surprised to see a penguin in his kitchen, especially one in pajamas carrying a candle. "Do you have any fish, sir?" asked Rudolph. "No, I cooked them all for dinner, but in another hour or so, some fishermen should be bringing me a few fresh salmon from the day's catch. Sometimes the Tsar likes salmon omelets for breakfast," replied Ivan. "I'm not sure I can stay up that long, but I'm not sure I can fall asleep either." Rudolph was a little confused about what to do. Ivan felt sorry for the hungry, sleepless penguin. "Perhaps you could eat a little of the reindeer stew left over from dinner," he suggested. Rudolph was horrified. "Eat a reindeer? No, yuck, never." But then he noticed a big bowl of blueberries and asked if he could have some of them. "Of course," said Ivan. "They should keep your tummy from rumbling while we wait for the fish." Ivan put his arm around Rudolph and said, "While we're waiting, we could look at the painted sky." Rudolph had never seen or heard of a painted sky and couldn't understand what Ivan was talking about. It was Rudolph's first summer in St. Petersburg, and many things were new and strange to him. But a painted sky seemed totally crazy. Maybe Ivan was joking. Sensing that the penguin had some doubts, Ivan said, "Let's go outside and I'll show you. Tonight, the sky is especially beautiful." Ivan picked up the bowl of blueberries to take with them. He led Rudolph out the door to a little bench by the river that flowed next to the huge green palace. "Look up, Rudolph," said Ivan, pointing at the sky. Rudolph couldn't believe what he saw. Brilliant colored waves were sweeping across the sky, wiggling and shimmering. It looked like someone was tossing buckets of colored paint into the sky, and the colors mixed and flowed around like candy clouds. "I don't understand. It's absolutely beautiful, but how can a Tsar paint the sky?" wondered Rudolph out loud. Some people say it's God having some fun, explained Ivan. Other people say it's colored clouds from the North Pole blown here by strong winds. I don't think anybody really understands it. We just enjoy it. Does the color ever fall out of the sky? Is that why the Tsar's palace is green? Asked Rudolph. Oh no, men with paintbrushes painted the palace. I've never seen the sky's colors fall onto anything. But it could explain where colors come from, couldn't it? Asked Rudolph. Maybe the green trees and the pink salmon get their colors from the sky, said Rudolph. Ivan smiled. I can't say you're wrong, Rudolph. It just might be so. They sat on a bench looking up for a long time, enjoying the colors in the northern sky. Eventually, the fisherman arrived. Ivan picked out a nice pink salmon for Rudolph. He gulped it down, pretending it was a colored cloud. Now I can go to sleep, said Rudolph, heading back inside the palace. As he dreamed, he saw everything in St. Petersburg turn the colors of the northern sky. Good night.